All right. We're all good?
Yes.
So the
Makes
fun
sense.
part about that was I wasn't even watching, but I just listened to everybody else clapping. And
Same!
it works.
Kelcie, we're related!
Which just means that we're both assholes, apparently.
Well, yes, that's in the blood. That's in the blood.
No, it's funny because I heard like 5 claps.
I clapped twice, and I'm not sure why. I just got overexcited. I got like really excited, and I clapped twice. Can't
Kelsey, you're
control
gonna
it.
fuck up the entire recording.
I know, I'm like. It's now the Friends theme song.
Oh my god.
All right, everybody in sync has to recite the entire Friends theme song.
Yes!
In sync.
No one ever
All right.
told you to look. Oh, sorry.
No,
Wait, was that like the operatic version?
I thought we were really doing it. It was so gullible.
You were the one who suggested it.
Oh my god.
I can't. I'm so sorry.
Kelsey, you suggested it.
I love it. I love it so much.
Ow, my respiratory system. Okay, I'm so sorry, Matt.
we open up on a ballerina school for the young and gifted. All of you ready to dance?
Alright. Okay.
I thought we were actually recording.
Well, we
I
are
misunderstand?
we are recording right now, but I think that
Oh, okay.
this is
I don't-
he's gonna probably
Our
edit
dungeon
this out.
master had a stroke. Is that what we're saying?
That's essentially, or I mean, maybe
Alright.
we were at a ballerina school. I don't know. Wait, what's up,
Yeah,
man?
yeah. You don't know. I'm God. Hi.
Okay.
Welcome to Table Party.
Well, hey.
Okay, Kanye.
we're gonna be playing Monster of the Week. My name is Matthew Walsh, but for the purposes of this podcast, I'll be going by Walsh or whatever these clowns refer to me as.
The keeper's peeper or dad. Yeah,
Dad.
that's right.
Dad.
Dad. Hi, Dad.
You guys wanna introduce yourselves?
I'll go first. Hi, my name is Chris, and are we introducing the characters right now, or are we just saying?
Yeah, just introduce who you are, and then we'll go back around.
Yeah, okay. I'm Chris. You may know me from such projects such as Virtual Ball Boys, and that's about it.
So my name is Matt. I am also from Virtual Ball Boys here on Team KS Productions. I'm also the one who composed the intro theme that you heard. I don't know if you're doing that in this one or not, but
Yeah, that'll be.
You're our
good.
music boy. That's
cool.
You know,
I'm the music boy.
yeah.
Check out Havana Music.
Okay. I'm Kelcie. You may know me from such projects as being Christopher's sister. And that's about it.
The best project.
The most painful project.
Aw.
My life's work.
Gabriel.
Oh, sorry. My name is Gabe. My first outing was previously on a Virtual Ball Boys episode, but this is like where I actually start doing something important.
Hey, you did well in your Virtual Ball Boys debut. All right, you did good.
That's not how I read the comment, but that's fine.
Oh, wait. How did you read it?
The
No,
Virtual
it's
Ball
fine.
Boys isn't
It's
important.
fine.
No.
Yeah.
Wait. That is not what I meant at all. No.
All right, so for anyone who has no idea how Monster of the Week works, it is a tabletop role-playing game. A little bit different from D&D and a couple others in the sense that it is it's very inspired by the system that is run by the Apocalypse, or it is that system, in which instead of a D20 or a variety of dice, it is using two D6, two six-sided dice, in order to roll. Each character gets about 5 different stats to work with. They're charm, they're cool, they're sharp, they're tough, and they're weird. throughout the game, as they try and they come to obstacles, they will have to roll using one of those stats, either to manipulate somebody, act under pressure, to help out, investigate a mystery, read a bad situation, kick some ass, protect somebody, or use magic. And those are the actions that they can do. And then there are specific actions that are specific to each class of each character that have a wide variety of different classes to them. The actual setting of the story is going to be this was a lot of fun for me because I wanted to have somewhere with a lot of different just kind of weird things going on. So it's actually going to be in Nevada, near Las Vegas, as well as near Area 51. So we can gamble while we clap some cheeks.
Yeah, that is. We're gonna be clapping some alien cheeks. You're saying?
Well, we'll see if it's aliens. We'll see whether it's
some FBI
radiation.
cheeks.
Are we allowed to just clap our own cheeks? I'm a bit of a germaphobe.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we can also, and of course, it's also near the nuclear testing sites as well. That it's in Nevada.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so you're really like in like a nice little like pocket that I really get to torture you all in.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, where what would be desert is going to be this fictional town of Phlatts, Nevada, Phatts. It's mostly kind of runs up and down one main highway, and a lot of the traffic that comes through the town is very much usually heading in and out of Las Vegas. There's a couple of hotels, motels that are around the area, especially for those who are coming in and out and trying to maybe find somewhere a little bit cheaper than to stay directly in Las Vegas, even though it is a little bit of a drive. And it's this small little town that I think you guys are going to enjoy.
Did you say it was Phlatts or Fats?
Phlatts.
Flats? Because you forgot the L. You forgot the L when you spelled it.
Yeah.
Is there or is there not an L?
Yeah, there's an L. You're all gonna take that L when you all die.
We're dying.
2 seconds into the game.
We're dying.
I'm dying to get started.
My bad. Phlatts.
Okay.
Okay.
Matt, edit that out.
All right. So
Long deep sigh to begin.
Yeah, we're gonna be exploring this little tiny town. I like it.
I'm excited.
Don't worry, I'm not actually gonna edit that out because it'll be funny. Do you guys want to go back through that same order, and you guys can introduce a little bit about your character and a little bit about the class that you're playing? We can of course leave a lot up to we'll see what comes together.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I guess I went first time, so that's how that works. So
if everybody's in the same order underneath on the side, I think that we're just going to go down that order whenever we're doing introductions.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Sure.
I don't think it'll be this order every single time, but maybe it's in alphabetical order.
It's alphabetical.
All right, so that works.
In our little chat.
So my name is Cliff. I am a golf caddy / golf worker at the local golf course that's in the town or nearby the town. He's kind of like a happy-go-lucky guy that really does not find anything at fault with the world. Really thinks everything is just peachy keen, and doesn't really doesn't really have any sense of urgency. Doesn't have any sense of that how important life really is, I guess, the good and the bad. He just really cares about the good stuff. And he hasn't really had to deal with a ton of adversity in his life, and that kind of shows. So he's kind of ignorant in that sense, and he is also a mundane. So that's the role that I chose. Now, do you want me to go over the specific moves or anything like that?
Just give an idea of what the mundane is like.
Sure.
I think the name does kind of give a lot away.
Yeah. So the mundane is kind of the I want to say weak link because there's some strong moves that the mundane can do, but it's the one character that doesn't really have any superpowers of any kind. does not really have any connection to the mystical world around him, or him or her, or they. So the mundane is kind of like, so most of the moves are kind of revolving around how the mundane is kind of cowardly, or can use their charm as a kind of a move to move themselves further in the game, or anything like that. So that's mundane, I would say. Good summation.
Yeah, the mundane has a lot of interesting just choices, especially when like a lot of other classes are designed to either, deal with government or monsters or the supernatural, and the mundane's just like, I don't know how I got here.
Yeah. Cliff is pretty much, once Cliff gets thrown into some shit, that's exactly how he would be thinking. He would be like, I don't belong at all.
Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about your character?
Sure. So I'm playing a character who is an initiate. He is a casino dealer who is kind of part of this sect of other casino dealers and employees that kind of has taken over the business in Las Vegas. Pretty much every Vegas dealer in some capacity is part of this sect. I don't think there's a specific name for it, but
We'll get there.
yeah. My character just kind of got into it, started working at the casino, and then all of a sudden he was involved with this. But it's cool because he can do magic and stuff. He was given a code name by this specific sect, and so he now goes by the game that he runs most often, which is Hold'em. So Hold'em is the name of my character. He's from New York, but he moved out to Phlatts and commutes into Vegas every day. That's pretty much all I can think of for him.
Okay.
Anything else you think is important?
Not that I can think of. I didn't know that he lived in Phlatts. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, he
right.
commutes.
Screws up your whole
Like
story.
Oh fucking.
Alright, we gotta wait a little bit longer, guys. Alright, we gotta chill out.
All right,
So,
give me
Right,
like.
right.
how's the weather?
All right, give me like an hour and a half. I gotta rewrite something.
If that actually messes something up, I can change it.
Nah, it's
No,
fine.
I'm sure
Okay.
it's fine. Alright, Kelcie.
All right. My character is Jeremiah Sherman LeClaire. I am a middle-aged failed politician who comes from Louisiana after failing at pretty much everything I've tried in life because I'm a scumbag and burned a lot of bridges. But I am charming and have a way of manipulating people to do my dirty work. I've come to Nevada because I've destroyed all the relationships that I had in Louisiana, and I'm looking for a fresh start.
Now, when you imagine Jeremiah, is he kind of starting this adventure, like in the sense that when this starts, he's now moving to Nevada?
Yes.
Or okay, all right, this is gonna be interesting. I wasn't sure if he was already living here or now he's starting his
Well,
new life
I figured
here.
it could be one, depending on what you have set up. I would think that if I'm not newly there, that I am at least recently within, say, a few months, and so therefore still trying to get my bearings in my new location.
Okay, I think I'm going to.
So it's
'Cause
up to you.
I originally had. We'll touch back on this in a second on how
Sounds good.
I'm gonna set this up. But what a fucking name.
Well, and I forget, what was your role again?
I'm the crooked,
The crooked, that's right.
so I'm a snake.
That's the sound snakes make.
Whatever, Matt. I mean, I've had a lot of caffeine today, so you don't know what you're gonna get tonight.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, Gabe.
My character, his name is William Rocco, and he is a student who lives in Phlatts, and he's both a full-time student and a full-time worker. So he doesn't really get much time to himself, let alone to rest at all. So he's constantly getting sick, and he just kind of goes day to day, working, constantly working.
Now, this is going to be really interesting because your class doesn't come from the initial Hunter reference guide. It comes from like the added Tomb of Horrors. Could you? What's the class again?
The pararomantic, or what is also known as the monster fucker.
We'll see how that
Bless your
goes.
heart.
And we've already discussed the kind of opening actions that I'll take to get to that relationship. But as of
Actions? After he announced he's the monster fucker? What is happening?
That's the name that I've given.
What
the
did I
class.
sign up for?
You didn't read the content.
Have I been led astray?
It's called a party for a reason.
Oh jeez. All right.
So
guys.
one thing I'm hoping to kind of do with the show and this podcast is to not only have fun with this Monster of the Week game, but anytime we as a group, or we can always change up the players and who's here, anytime we want to run a role playing game or anything like that, this can be the show for us to do it. And I think the best way to do that I've seen in other shows that I think would be really easy for us to do is for the campaign, just to keep track of with like a kind of a subtitle for the show itself. And I haven't shared it with any of you yet, but the story that we're going to be telling is going to be Table Party Humanity.
I love it.
Oh.
I love it.
Oh, I'm excited now.
That was the thing I think I had the most trouble finding, and I've even like talked to you guys a little bit about different ideas, but I think humanity as a word does the best to define exactly the kind of story I think we're going to tell and the kind of conflicts and obstacles you guys are going to have to face.
I mean it's so meta, but I think that's what makes it great.
I am so scared but so excited.
Yeah, it's a combination of both, I think.
That
Yeah.
like just the word is such a terrifying thing out of context for what this could be, for what Monster of the Week can be.
Well, also humanity's fucking terrifying. So like,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
it
sure. Absolutely.
Humanity's terrifying. It can refer to the people as a whole. It can refer to a society, and yet it can also refer to a sense of kindness in people. And I think those are all going to play a part.
Yeah.
so what just happens?
I don't know.
We got like mad serious.
I'm so well, because like when she dropped the name on it, it's like, oh my god, this shit's for real now.
I thought Matt's mic cut out. I was like, hello. Like I didn't realize. I was so confused. I'm like, what just happened?
I also just realized too. I think I might want to just re-explain some of the other rules of the game that I don't think is initially clear.
Sure.
In terms of like failures, partial successes, and successes. In the sense that whenever one of your characters attempts to do something, like for example, kick some ass or help out, they will have to roll specifically their stat on that. So for kick some ass, you'd have to roll your tough stat in addition to your 2d6, or if you're rolling to help somebody, you'd roll plus your cool stat. Everybody has different stats, so those numbers range from, I believe, anywhere from -1 to +3. And when you get your total after you roll on a 10 plus, you do either exactly what you set out to do or you get extra benefits. But essentially, it's a complete success on what you're trying to do. On a 6 or lower, it is a failure. And whatever you're trying to do usually backfires. If you're trying to help somebody out, you put yourself in danger as well. And your character also marks experience. And then if it's a 7 to 9, it's considered a partial success, which means that there can be a price to pay, there can be a major risk, there could be a side effect, which is going to be really fun to improvise and see what happens in between. And as for experience, for every time you guys fail and take experience, once you guys hit 5 experience, you're able to level up. That can mean improving a stat. That can mean taking another move, whether it be from your class or a different class entirely. But we'll put that together and we'll figure out what's character appropriate to as the story moves forward. If you guys level up and you take something else, like another move from a different class, if that's the kind of direction that your character is moving in. So I think that there's a lot of room to play around and to improvise. There are also systems of harm as well. This isn't like D&D where your HP is going to go up as you level up. It's not something where I have 30 hit points or I have 100 hit points. It's everybody has basically 7 hit points. And the scary thing is most harm, and even the weapons that you get, they'll be labeled on how much harm they do, will do a specific amount. And every time that you take 1 or more harm, you mark that harm down. If you take 4 harm, you're considered unstable, and you check that mark off. And if you continue to be unstable without healing or resting, you could continue to take harm, which can eventually lead to a character's death. Monster of the Week is set up that it's not D&D where you rush in and then you heal and then you fight and then you die and then you're down and then you rush in and you fight and you heal. It's designed that this monster is going to kill you. This monster could easily rip you to shreds if you are not careful. This is a game of investigating and searching and figuring out what kind of things this kind of creature is weak to and how to ambush it or attack it correctly so that you can put a stop to whatever this kind of being is trying to do or trying to befriend it or whatever you think is the correct way to go. It's because if you rush in just guns a-blazing trying to just fight it one-on-one, there is a very good chance that you might not walk out alive. As a show, too, I want to try and keep that, not tension, but that level of consequence there. And while we're going to, fuck around and have fun, I don't want it to seem like there aren't consequences. Like, you can't just, just run into danger. Even though I think that is, the fun of also the mundane of putting themselves in danger.
Right,
so we'll see how this goes. I'm very excited. And I hope you guys don't die.
I hope I don't die either, Dad.
I really don't want to die.
Yeah. The last thing in terms of mechanics is your luck meters. Everybody has, I believe, 7 points of luck. If at any point a character's trying to make a check or they're taking an attack, if they decide to use a luck point, it will automatically count as rolling a 12, or they can avoid all harm from an injury. However, once they use that luck point, it is gone forever. And if you use all 7 of your luck points, your character is considered doomed, which is a very interesting mechanic in which the Keeper and Fate all kind of come together, and your character just faces incredible turmoil. I'm not even completely sure what might happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really nice level of risk and consequence, but reward as well. And of course, all of you too have class specific moves, but we can. You're free to use them whenever they come up, and we'll dip into them and we'll do any explanations, or you guys can read them off whenever we get there too.
Excellent.
The only I think that's about it. If anything else comes up while we are playing, then we can move through it. I mean, the only other things I can think of is, some of you have very important NPCs in terms of your background. I guess I'll just I don't think William has too many, and any that do come up will lead into the pararomantic relationship. as well as Hold'em will, branch out the sect as well. I know Cliff
Yep.
has a family that I think is going to play an important role in the story, and uh, Mr. Leclerc, I do believe that as the Crooked, you have very specific heat that is a specific mechanic in the game for your class of due to the crimes that you've committed, the kind of people that are after you.
Mhm. Yep.
Cliff, do you want to just talk a little bit about your family and what they're like?
Uh, yeah, sure. Do I do this in character?
Whatever you feel
I can't.
I feel like maybe it's best to not do it in
Yeah,
character,
yeah.
and then we'll see how the character.
So I have a wife, I have a son, and I have a younger daughter. But they're both like the son is like 19 years old. I think I ended up going with, and like the daughter is like 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the characteristics of my family, I know that we kind of vaguely discussed it, and I'm gonna forget a lot of it. So just if you have it written down, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Do you want me to
Yeah,
talk a little bit about them?
Go for it. Yeah.
Sure. I know your. This sounds like a threat. Holy shit! I know your wife's name is Barbara.
Yes.
I know your son's name is Dane.
Yes.
We haven't talked too much about what Barbara's like, and I think we'll figure that out as we play. I know
Yeah.
Daniel is a little bit of.
I heard she's a real bitch.
I heard she is great.
Don't talk about my wife like that.
I heard Daniel is a little bit of a theorist in terms of just like the paranormal and the weird.
Yes.
And he is kind of in this hot spot of intrigue that I think he finds very interesting. He sits in his room and he records paranormal podcasts, which I couldn't imagine in those shoes to sit down and record a podcast. That'd be very strange.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah. And then we haven't talked too much about Stacy. I have a good idea of what she's like that I think we can reveal over time, but I think right now overall the kind of persona she gives off is a little bit of that usual kind of teenager, a little annoyed by her older brother, but definitely seems a lot more responsible than her older brother, and maybe if anything a bit smarter as well.
I think ultimately the big thing is I wanted to establish the family, but I didn't want to dive too deep into like personality traits because I wanted to leave that up to you for the most part, because I feel like as the story goes along, like even Cliff, I say right now what he's gonna be like, that might even change as we tell the story because it might just work better for the story.
Of course,
so
that's
kind of
I
how
just wanted to
do it.
I just want to make sure that these are very important people. At the levels I feel like they're, I guess to me, I feel like they're as important to the story as well as to your class. Like the level that like the sect is as important to the initiate, or as well as is important the monster is to the pararomantic. But I think that's best left until we begin to play.
Sure. I got you. I also have another character written down here. I don't know if you have the same. Or read one.
Is it Clyde?
Yeah, I forget who Clyde was. It's been a while between this.
No, I know exactly who Clyde is. And he'll be there.
Okay, well we'll get to Clyde at some point.
Mm-hmm. He's a good boy.
Good.
Jeremiah, would you please stand up? Who is the I believe that there are two individuals after you. Do you have them written down, or do you want me to?
I do. Nope, I'm all good.
All right.
So back in my previous hometown, one of the people that I fell out with is a police detective who was originally at one point working with me by the name of Roy Mescombe. However, it is now his personal goal to put me away and to take me out from what I'm doing, because he's a real threat because he was on the inside of some of my most dirty jobs, and another partner of mine who I am no longer on good terms with would be my ex-wife Cassandra James, who I betrayed. So both of those individuals are the heat for my character.
Shit, I didn't know Jeremiah was on Dirty Jobs.
What episode? What season?
It's a really good question.
It was the episode where they jumped into local politics and they were like, this is a dirty job.
It's too much.
Absolutely.
It's too much of a dirty job. We
too
couldn't
dirty.
do it. He couldn't do
It's
it.
too dirty.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the backup.
I'm up to my knees in dirt. It's too dirty.
I just choked on my peppermint mocha,
It's too spicy.
said Jeremiah.
So Jeremy.
The only other things I think I can say too is, in case anybody has any issue with it before going into in hand, whether it be for this monster or monsters moving forward, there might be a sense of this is gonna sound mad ominous, but there might be a sense of gore or body horror. And so in case that's intense, I apologize. Let me know as both a host, whether as players it's a lot. I'm not trying to specifically make it like any horror elements are specifically like gore related. I want it to be more that it's a feeling of uncertainty and feeling of unknownness, that when you maybe see something, you even looking straight at it, you still have no idea what it is. That sense of just like I don't know what I'm even looking at.
That's fine.
If it's
I'm smiling from
a
ear
lot,
to
or
ear.
if it's I'm a big fan. I'm like a pussy when it comes to horror movies, but I really enjoy.
Are you
just,
really?
like, yeah, weirdly enough, because
I know
like
this is
I'm
completely off topic, but
no, I'm fine. It's funny because I'm fine sitting and watching a horror movie, but then like I lay in bed and like I gotta make sure all my limbs are under the blanket.
aw.
Gotta get that trusty like night light / like computer screen, which is what I do anyway.
Nah, I don't need that. But I think
That's what I need.
everybody. But like you all know, like if a limb hangs out, like the monster's gonna grab it.
Oh,
You
for
all know
sure.
that,
That's
right?
how
Yeah.
that's how it works. That's usually the
That's how it
rules of the
works.
universe.
No, it's like no, it's more like that like that fear that comes in like very like weird moments of like I'm heading up from the basement and like I gotta move a little extra quickly after I turn off the lights.
I used to
You
do
know what
that
I mean?
so much as a kid. I would like cause a ruckus trying to run up the stairs the moment I turn off the lights because I'd be so nervous.
Like
about
you know,
being
like
pulled
I go see it and I'm like that was funny, and then like I'm like walking home and I'm like
down. I completely get
But
that.
even though like I'm a little, I think, like jumpy afterwards, I really enjoy setting up horror and being able to kind of slowly pull back curtains and to just kind of give that feeling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I find a lot of interest
Cool
in
feeling.
horror. It's just that I scare easy, which is kind of fun. If you would have asked me like when I was 6, I would have hated it, but it's become like a 180. And it's fun. So if any body horror or gore becomes a lot, let me know.
Controlled
I don't
horror
think it
is
should be too
good.
crazy. Yeah.
Much like controlled chaos.
And yeah.
Nice name plug.
Chaos control.
Yeah. Chaos control.
All right.
Oh man, if only there was a production team that could control chaos.
If only.
Oh well, I guess they'll never be there.
Who knows?
I can. Is there anything else? Anybody? And the last thing I wanted to cover is on each of your character sheets there is a section called history or even underworld. That either I've talked specifically about to you guys about what that's like, but history is more how the characters know each other. We haven't discussed this at all, unless you guys have between you two off screen, and I haven't really been there for it. I was wondering if you guys
Don't believe we have.
we can maybe improvise a little bit of how much you guys know each other. It might even be a little bit easier to come back to how Jeremiah is a bit newer to the town. I'd have no problem maybe Jeremiah being a little bit of the the audience surrogate. That might not be the right word, but to kind of give off the same feeling of being introduced to the town, the same way that the audience might.
Yeah, I mean
we could do that.
We've seen that at least in other similar productions like this. So I feel like that could work on that front. I don't know. I'm trying to remember who else is. I mean, I've lived in Phlatts my whole life. I don't know who else has though.
I think the only other who might have is William.
Yeah,
because Hold'em has moved in from New York.
But Hold'em's been here for like 10, 15 years. Like he's not from here, but he knows here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, would Hold'em or William be ever like on the golf course at all?
Y'all ever gone golfing?
Hold'em definitely would have.
William probably not.
Okay, so that's probably how I know Hold'em. Probably on the golf course, seen him around.
You know his score by heart too.
Oh yeah.
What's my score?
Like you average
69.
like yeah, you average like a 6 under most of the time. You know, a little bit better,
yeah,
a little bit better, a little bit lower, but you know how to hold them, know when to fold them.
That's right.
Hold me.
Hold me, fold me.
Does anybody, when they're drunk and at the card tables, do they ever call you hold me instead of hold 'em?
All the time.
Because I think that's pretty funny.
that would be excellent. It's kind of predatory.
Love it. Love
William,
predatory.
Yeah, well, God, William. William, if you're not really on the golf course too much, I might know you from just in town because I think that Cliff participates in like town activities. I think I made a note one time that he was like part of like the local Rotary Club or whatever.
or I can also posit this as well. Possibly William knows Daniel in some sense.
Oh, okay. Like they're at like around the same age group.
Yeah, I know. Like William's working full time and also getting an education, and we'll figure out at whatever college. It could possibly be a similar college to Daniel, or possibly they were in the same grade growing up in high school. Maybe you've seen William hang out with Daniel. This is only like I'm only like pitching ideas so we can go with whatever ideas.
I think that could be a fair assessment of the situation because otherwise I don't know really how else I would have a connection to William.
Gabe, what do you think?
Well, I'd say that William doesn't know Hold'em at all, just because he doesn't really have time to go to a casino. He doesn't really hang around those places too much, but I would say that he might know. Frick. What's your character's name again, Chris? Cliff. I think he might know Cliff's son through just school.
Cool.
I feel like that makes the most sense.
Me too.
Now here is what I think is going to be an interesting one. Does Jeremiah and Hold'em know each other? Because we've established that Jeremiah has been in Las Vegas before. Is it maybe a situation where Hold'em's seen Jeremiah around? It's just like another client, or maybe just looks familiar because he's been in the area.
I think that he only knows him as Hold Me.
Jeremiah was so drunk that at the time.
I think Hold Me slipped me something.
Hold me, touch me.
That's a producer's reference for anyone who doesn't.
Hold me, bad boy. Touch me, bad boy.
Yeah, so
Jeremiah's
definitely been to the casino I've worked at some point.
Okay.
And knows me as Hold Me. And has requested that before.
Okay.
Do you agree to those terms, Jeremiah?
Listen, no one told you life was going to be this way.
Wow. Let's keep going.
Wait, who is down with with the sickness? What is going on?
I have a video to show you later.
That's a very.
Okay.
There's a video. Yeah, no, it's all right.
All right, that's fine.
It's
Okay.
a meme.
All right, I'm just behind on the times. I'm old.
All right, I don't think there's anything else I can think of mentioning.
I think Matt recognizes that this is about to take a weird turn. We gotta wrap this
don't
part
worry.
of this up.
Don't worry, there'll be plenty more episodes to take weird ass turns. I mean, the only other thing I can think is like are a bunch of other classes. I highly recommend anyone listening to go and check out Monster of the Week. It is Evil Hat Productions. The game is amazing. From what I've, listened to other groups play it, and I'm excited for us all to try it.
I'm done with shouting out the group that has inspired us to do this real quick.
Yes, we should.
The McElroy brothers, McElroy family, created the Adventure Zone a few years ago, and they've been going strong. They just started their third full season, and we give them a lot of credit for kind of getting us into this whole, or at least some of us into it. I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, I was never really into it till listening to them. So, you guys are great inspiration. So if you're listening to this at all, I doubt you are, but if you are, we love you and thank you.
If you're a fan of the Adventure Zone, if you're a fan of Critical Role, Roll20, if you're a fan of any other, role-playing shows, I think you're going to enjoy this show. I was hesitant to call out the Adventure Zone, and I love them so much. Just because I don't want anybody to think that I'm like, oh, we're trying to do the Adventure Zone, but this version.
Yeah.
But I think as just like a message of appreciation, they're amazing. I have listened to Critical Role as well, and I love Critical Role. I am very behind, but I do very much enjoy them too. And I'm looking forward to listening to other role-playing shows, but the Adventure Zone has definitely been the biggest inspirer of this production.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, I think with that, I'll leave us on sort of a kind of cinematic idea of kind of the atmosphere of Phlatts, Nevada. It is bright and extremely hot, and the dry air does nothing to help. The dust rolls over the deserts as heat waves can be seen in the distance, as if you can hear the radiation in the air. And the bright, cloudless blue sky are curtains in front of the dark space beyond it, full of tiny, minuscule stars that all stare down onto this one small, extremely significant town. And all eyes stare down at what we'll do to protect humanity. Table Party has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter @TheTableParty and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods. See you next week for the first episode.